All right, this episode of Bowks Talking Bouts brought to you by Sovereign Extracts. You can check out a variety of great CBD oils and THC, CBD, hybrid cartridges, all of that great stuff. And also USG Canada, big shout out to them, putting out great apparel for boxers, MMA fighters, and fans alike. And on today's show, got a very big guest here, talking to an individual who is a multi-time Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world champion, recently signing a multi-year contract with One Championship. I'm talking to Marcus Almeida, also known as Buchecha. How's your day going so far there, Marcus?
It's going great, Dylan. It's going good. No complaints.
Yeah, well, I'm really excited to see this come to fruition. Like, I think your journey into MMA has been something that's been discussed for a meaningful period of time. Like, when did the dialogue initially get going for you to sign with One Championship? Because, like I said, the intrigue's been there for several years, but when did contract negotiations actually start, taking place and getting serious there?
Yeah, I've been thinking about go to MMA for to do the transition. But this year I was thinking about maybe to do my last World Championship, and because of the pandemic, it didn't happen. And so I decided start hurry up the things because it's supposed to be my last year, and things didn't happen how I was planning. So I start training little by little. Then I start liking really as much more than the last times that I was training. So I just decided, you know what? I think it's time. I think I don't have any more to prove on jiu-jitsu. So
Yeah, and I've seen you training as of late with some guys from AKA.
and we made things happen really fast, and then I always wanted to fight for one because I know Shatri and I know all the guys from Asia, and I always wanted when I do my debut to be at one championship, and they talk and it's made it happen like that. So now I'm just really excited and waiting to do my debut. So I can't wait. I was just like you said, I was at AKA. Helping and training with DC for his last fight that's gonna be this Saturday. So it was a great opportunity, great training with them all the guys up there in San Jose. So I used to go there since 2013. So it was great to be back there and to see the last ride of DC and to be part of that. So it was amazing, and I learned a lot. So it was really good for me too for my training.
Yeah, on a number of levels, I would think that would be great. Just on a technique level, obviously, but being that you're going to compete in the heavyweight division, I mean, you're working with a guy who's in that conversation for a lot of people of, greatest heavyweights in MMA. So on that level, I mean, it would have to, pay dividends as well, I would think.
Yeah, no, for sure. For me, just like you said, it was a great opportunity to be around one guy like him. In my opinion, he is the greatest heavyweight of all times. And it was great to learn from him, to see how he trains, to see to get some tips, and it was great. So he teach me a lot. He showed me a lot of new things, and it was great for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've seen past instances where you've done seminars with Evolve and stuff like that. And, it seems like the training camp is going to be in Singapore with Evolve MMA for when you get on track to eventually make the debut with One there. Is that a fair characterization? Like, are you going to spend most of your time training at Evolve ahead of the One debut here and just focus on that?
Not most of the time, but I'll be spending a lot of time there for sure because I want to get my Muay Thai much better. So there's gonna be a great place for sure to learn with all the champions that lives there and train there, and not just the Muay Thai, but boxing, wrestling, everything. So it will be great to spend some time there, definitely.
Yeah, and I gotta wonder, just because I mean your jujitsu skills are world class and you've really plied your trade there for a fair bit. Like, is there a renewed sense of enthusiasm with pursuing like the striking aspects, just because like as much as you're a high level martial artist in this other discipline, it's like you're endeavoring to learn something altogether new. So is there kind of that like almost like white belt type of exuberance, like you're just like, yeah, I get to do Muay Thai today? Like, is there any dynamic like that?
No, definitely is something really different. It's not just jiu-jitsu. So I need to, of course, I know my best weapon always gonna be jiu-jitsu, but I know we need to learn everything. So it's not just like the fight. Of course, it's not gonna be just ground game. So I need to be prepared to be like to work my striking, my kicks, my wrestling, because without that, it would be hard to take the fight where I want the fight to be. That's on the ground game for sure. But so I know, like I need to get better in other aspects, other subjects. So that's why I want to train everything and get better. But of course, if I need to like bet on something, I'm always gonna bet my jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, and it seems like betting on your jujitsu is a bit of a theme throughout your life. Like I was seeing an Instagram post where you were talking about how, back in 2010 you got your black belt and you were, competing and just, getting out there and really, putting in the work. But I understand years ago you were at a jujitsu tournament that you ended up coming through with the victory on. You were, 20 years old and you opted, stay over and, see what would happen. Like you were in a situation where 10 years after that, you'd eventually become an American citizen and everything like that. Can you kind of talk about that time period when you were, that 20-year-old kid who, really just ended up betting on yourself and just what you had with jiu-jitsu and, just how everything's unfurled? Because I think that's a really great story, man.
Yeah, no, that was something really special for me. Just like you said, it was like a great history, a great story. I mean, when I was 20 years old, I just got my black belt and I came to a new country, came to America to try a new life, to live off the sport. And it was hard in the beginning. I came just like chasing my dream to be a world champion, and I didn't know how things would be. And things started like working out. I started like finding a job and like got my first world title in 2012. And after that, things that just start changing a lot. And man, like 10 years later, I became like the most winning. I became the guy with the most world titles as a black belt. So I broke the record, went to the Guinness Book. So it was something that was like, looking back and see how was the ride during the last 10 years was like something amazing. And I'm really, really proud to look back and see everything what I have done and how was the history. And I just want to keep doing like that in my new career, this new chapter of my life. And I just can't wait to see how it's gonna happen.
Yeah, and we're talking about like you learning new skills in the striking realm, but your growth has been proven even in like within jujitsu. Because I remember there was that period where you'd put out some posts where you were talking about how like fighting on your feet initially had caused you some degree of trouble, so pulling guard was kind of like a more normative thing that you would do. But then the takedown system really started like leveling up in a big, meaningful kind of way. Like, do you derive confidence from that, like leading into the MMA career here, just because you have a prior example of, leveling up your skills and adding a lot more nuance to what you have already?
Yeah, no, for sure. Like I have been an athlete my whole life, and I know how to pick it up, things, how to learn things, and I feel I'm learning a lot. My striking game, my wrestling is getting better, so I know it's there for me to learn. So I know I gonna learn, and I've like just like you said, the takedown was like something that I wasn't good at all, and I got better, and I just really confident that everything's gonna happen the same way, natural, and I'm gonna learn and gonna get better, and I'm gonna put everything inside the octagon, and we'll be like will be just like in Jiu-Jitsu. Things gonna flow and gonna get better, and I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, and you're also a smart athlete too, and as far as like surrounding yourself with the key people that you need to. Like I also saw you were working with Jason Pereira, so I imagine your hands are much sharper than they had been.
Yeah, no, man, just I live in California, so every time when I'm in California, I'm working with Jason Pereira at Ruka headquarters. It's been great because Jason is like such a great coach, and just like you said, he's really sharpening my hands, and it's great to be around with him and training and learning because I like how he like always go for the little details, and that's really important, especially for me that in this moment of transition. So it's been amazing. I was at AKA, so I always trying to go to places that I really like the coaches, like to train. And Ali, my manager, is like always trying to help me to put like with the best guys. So it's been great. It's been a great transition. So it's I don't know how it's gonna be, where I'm gonna be next week, but for sure I'm gonna be training with somebody that gonna help me a lot. So because Jason is in Vegas right now, and because of the UFC, DC, and all the teams there too, so I didn't go. So this week I'll be training with like just more jiu-jitsu and something different. So it's always gonna be like that. But my jiu-jitsu, I'm training with Leo Vieira, my coach. That's one of the best ever. And for jiu-jitsu, and Leo is really good for MMA too. A lot of people doesn't know, but he used to teach a lot of guys that from MMA, so he knows the game really well. And that's it. Always trying to learn from the best.
Yeah, absolutely. And some of the articles I've seen talking about your debut, it kind of gives like a certain nebulous idea. Like it'll say something like late 2020, early 2021. Do you have like an ideal month that you would like to make your debut, or anything a little more concrete than that? Or is it kind of just like train and kind of see what unfurls with everything?
No, just like that. No, nothing really with like set date yet, but around that, like 2020 or 2021, something around the date. You know what I mean? The end of the year, the beginning of next year.
No, that's cool, man. That makes sense. You got to be optimally prepared for sure. But I mean, this is quite the division. Like I remember when they'd announced you coming to the fold, and it's just bolstering an already great roster with guys like Arjan Bhullar and Moro Cirilli, and obviously like all these other like Amir Aliakbari, another name that comes to mind as like a recent big name kind of signee. Like, have you studied the one heavyweight division much, or are you just so focused on your own efforts that you haven't really checked out their heavyweight talent pool as of yet?
No, of course I always check the heavyweights, but it's something that it's really interesting for me to watch to see how is the game. But that's not the thing that I really worry right now. I need to worry about myself right now. So it's hard to think about somebody's game, somebody specific. So that's why I'm really focused on me right now. That's how I did my whole life in jiu-jitsu. I never think about the others' games, you know what I mean, other my opponent's games. So always I try to focus on myself, try to get better, because that's what I really need to be worried about it. After, when I decide the opponent, then it's time to study my opponent, but not right now.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. You got to focus on your own efforts and get out there. I just think it's interesting too, because it seems like the people that are already fighting there are pretty excited about you coming over. Like I think even I'd seen Brandon Vera, the reigning champion, was pretty excited. Just it seemed like a pretty respectful thing, like just excited to test his skills against someone of your caliber. So I mean that's pretty cool to see. Like you're getting into the fold, haven't even made your debut yet, but the quote unquote big dogs are excited to get in there with you. That must feel pretty good.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. Of course, Brandon is the champion, so of course is the one that I watch the most. But I know like it's I still have like a long way ahead until like thinking about to fight for the belt or something like that. But it's always great to watch like these great champions and fighting the way that they fight. So it's always great to watch, to learn, and to see how is their game. But I know there is like a long way until I be thinking about that. But of course, it's in the back of my head already. So, but we gotta before learn how to run, I need to walk. You know, so that's how I'm trying to do right now. I'm trying to walk before I run.
Yeah, you got to go at a logical pace with everything. And I just kind of wanted to ask about this because I don't think I'd seen really any articles that offered too much detail in explaining this. But I noticed with your, nickname obviously being Buchecha, like the translation I'd seen in a bunch of articles was it translates to big cheeks. Like, where did the Buchecha nickname come from there?
Yeah, no, actually, the translation is like cheeks, like chubby cheeks.
Yeah.
Here, you can. But when I was 12 years old, when I first started jiu-jitsu, people used to call me that, and my father told them I used to hate, but I never really minded. And in Brazil, when you say that you don't like something, like when people call you something and you say you don't like it, forget about it. It's gonna stick for you for the rest of your life, and that's it. Well, exactly what happened with me. People don't even know my name. People think that's my last name, and just stick with me for my whole life, I guess. No.
Yeah, well, I didn't know the translation for a decent bit myself, and I'd just seen like the nickname and stuff like that, and I'm like, oh, that sounds cool, Marcus Buchecha. Like, it's funny how you've like owned it and turned it into like a cool sort of thing. Like, just you're not, averse to like people joking around with you and kind of poking fun a little bit.
Yeah, no, even Brazil, a lot of people knows, but it's stick with me already. So people like, and it's something that they make fun, but it's just like it's funny because like all the fighters have like names of lions, bears, like wolf, something like that. And mine is like something that nobody like. You don't say that that's a nickname for a fighter, but it is what it is, right? We can choose that.
No, I like it, man. I think it's cool. It definitely works for sure. But I want to be mindful of your time, man. Is there anything you'd like to sort of add as a parting thought as we're wrapping things up here?
No, man. Just would like to say thank you very much for one championship, for the opportunity, for Shatri, for Ali, my manager, and everybody that is with me in this ride. So for sure, it's gonna be a long ride, and I'm really excited about. Just would like to say thank you to my sponsors, to Rook and Shoyo, and everyone who support me, all the fans that really like send the positive message, positive vibes. So I really appreciate you all. And that's it. Can't wait for the debut, and for sure we're gonna talk much more about that.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that moment, man. And I mean, this is just a great signing. One championship adding Marcus Buchecha Almeida to an already really compelling heavyweight roster. Thanks for all the time and insights there, Marcus. Hopefully you enjoy the rest of your night. And yeah, just appreciate the time.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.